Dating apps are essentially gambling. And today, our studio has made a breakthrough. We have now incorporated surround sound technology. I can now talk to you in your right ear and in your left ear. I think in a lot of ways, dating apps kind of bang off of the same principles that gambling does. And it's kind of like slot machines, right? There are so many people on the app. If you keep swiping, maybe you'll find that 777 perfect match, right? You're going to find that 10 out of 10 girl who's interested in specifically you, you're specifically her type, and you somehow match on every single thing you could ever imagine. And the apps exist to sell you on this idea. And it's not that it's impossible. I think the craziest part of the apps is that it technically is possible. If it's purely a numbers game, eventually you can find someone who fits those parameters, although the odds are kind of unlikely. And so I think kind of because there's so many people on the app, it's kind of hard to focus on a singular person as a sense of priority, because the person you're talking to is good, but maybe if you swipe one more time, the next person could be even better than this person. And this is kind of a cycle that kind of never ends, and that I've kind of experienced myself on dating apps, because I think it's kind of hard to convince yourself not to like invest in someone who isn't a perfect match, because, you know, if the first date doesn't click, well, there's thousands of people on the app that you could also talk to and match with and get to chat to. And that's assuming that you're actually in the top percentage of people that women actually want to date, because apps, specifically like Tinder, are based purely on appearances, because you're getting a snapshot of who this person is, and basically within like a second or two, someone has to decide whether they want to talk to you enough to actually pursue any kind of future with you. And so I think, ironically enough, part of what I found has made my profiles so successful on dating apps is basically removing any context behind who you are other than pictures that make you look flattering. Because any piece of information that further fleshes out your account is one more reason for someone to make a snap decision about you and not like you. Because the hardest part about dating apps is actually getting a conversation that ends up with you meeting someone. And so I think basically people having to be curious enough to get to know you kind of works in your favor, because then they can't hate you before they know you. And I think just because of social media in a lot of the ways that is kind of made real life less social, it's kind of made it that approaching someone in public is just a little bit more awkward, because we're so kind of in our own worlds technologically. You know, our social circles are defined by numbers on apps and on websites, and we've gotten away from like just setting our friends up a little bit and just seeing what happens. And like, I found that most people on these apps, not everyone of course, but most people are kind of looking for a Netflix style or Hollywood style of relationship where you're like, we're soulmates after like 3 hours of actually knowing each other. Like in the same way Cinderella, oh, the slipper fits, man, I'm gonna marry this girl, you know. It's just kind of like a little bit absurd, and it kind of sets these strange expectations for how much of a chance you should give someone, even though a lot of what actually makes people attracted to someone is just like mere exposure. Like the fact that you see someone routinely or consistently and in the same ordinary spaces will increase the odds that that person is interesting to you. And so I think gamification of dating apps has kind of made it so that you're less willing to invest in one individual as you are in an ecosystem of apps, right? I've went out on a bunch of dates courtesy of Tinder, courtesy of Hinge. Not Bumble so much. I don't like that app. It's terrible. But, you know, I've been on multiple dates. I've dated some people, and things can work. However, the opposite of that can also be completely true. Like a few years ago, I posted a picture of my car on my profile because I was trying to farm some likes, you know, the kid that I was. And it was a 1984 Pontiac Fiero, pop-up headlights. And for some unknown reason, I decided to drive over to their house late at night. I wasn't planning on doing any shenanigans, right? I was just like, I'll meet this person. They don't live that far away. It'll be fine. I didn't even realize I was meeting at their house. I thought I was just meeting at like a store or something. But then they're like, I don't really want to go anywhere. You want to come in? And I was like, sure. right? And the house smelled, it reeked. And so I walk in, I'm barraged, you know, I'm overwhelmed by these scents that I'm not used to. And, you know, basically I got, you know, she invites me into a room, I go in her room. It's just stuff's everywhere, garbage everywhere, clothes everywhere. And I'm just like, oh, this isn't great. And then this girl turns around and she looks me dead in the eyes and she was just like, yeah, I forgot to take my antipsychotic medication today. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. And then she's just like, yeah, my friend's gonna be over here in like an hour or so. And it was like a male friend. And I'm just like, my car's kind of nice. Are they trying to steal my car? And so I was just like, oh man, I got like a math test tomorrow. I'm in university. Like, yeah, I got a math test tomorrow. I should go study for that. And then I left and I'm just like, whew, never talk to that person again. But that just goes to show you that these apps are very much a gamble. You could die on a first date. Just putting that out there. Not if it's a first date with me, of course. But yeah, it is inherently risky because you are meeting strangers. It kind of feels like there's a little bit of a hive mind going on behind the scenes because recently on these apps, and I do not have examples because I deleted these apps afterwards, but like every single woman on these apps, or not every single one, a large majority of them are saying that they cook a really mean banana bread. So I don't know if you guys are having a competition specifically for me to try out each and every one of your banana bread recipes to find the best, but if that is the case, then I'm fine with that. But I want to know why everyone's saying it, because like last summer, everyone was just like, if you have a fish on your profile, I don't like it. Or they were saying stuff like, I'm looking for a country man, or a guy with tattoos, but then they match with me. I look like this, man. I'm not hiding who I am on my profile. I look like this, and you're like, do I look like I have tattoos? Do I look like I live out in the country? Do I look like I have a cattle ranch? No. I think they're just lying. I think the real truth is like, there's a threshold for what people want, but if someone's a little bit more attractive than that threshold, they'll drop all their standards. So, you know, I flatter myself, but I think a lot of times you just gonna have to take a chance on something in real life. Just make a move instead of like waiting for everything to come to you, you know. Do something that's actionable. Of course, results may vary. This is no promise that it's ever gonna work out. Most times it won't. Just statistics talking, but I think we've kind of become a little bit obsessed with things that are engaging and entertaining rather than necessarily simple and work. But that's all I really got to say about all this. These were my thoughts and opinions, taken down in a notes app and expounded upon. If you have any thoughts or opinions or personal anecdotes that you'd like to share, I'd be more than happy to hear them, and see you guys in the next video.